Hello everyone. Let's start with the RBI Circulars August 2025. So this will be the part 1 of the video, right? In August month we don't have so many circulars. Here are the list of the circulars that we'll be covering, plus I'll be covering some of the website details of the RBI as well. There are some website updates as well on the RBI website, so we'll be covering that as well. Okay, so the entire agenda of today's session is we will be covering these circulars, right, and the news, plus I'll be giving you revision pointers as well and practice MCQs as well at the end of this session. So video के end तक बने रहिएगा. Let's start the discussion. The very first circular, RBI co-lending arrangement direction 2025, very important for your upcoming RBI Grade B examination. Co-lending arrangement, and I already told you that co means two, right? Co means two parties here. So there will be two regulated entities here. First one, let's suppose HDFC Bank, and second one, let's suppose any NBFC company. So can I say that this is co-lending arrangement? What these companies are doing, what these regulated entities are doing, they are lending to a borrower, right? They are lending to the borrower, and definitely they'll be earning interest repayments plus principal repayments, and they will be sharing it, right? Ultimately what they will do is they'll share the interest and the principal amount that they are earning from the borrower. That's what happens in the co-lending arrangement, right? And do remember, co means two. So let's talk about the background first. The setup where two regulated entities jointly to lend to the borrowers, and they will be sharing the revenue and the risk related to the loan. So definitely they'll be sharing the revenue as well as the risk related to the loan, and there are two regulated entities who are in the co-lending arrangement here. Earlier also we used to have the CLA guidelines, but they were more specific to priority sector lending. So as of now RBI has released the co-lending arrangements full-fledged directions 2025, and what can be important very for the examination, I'll be definitely discussing that as well in today's session. Okay, so the effective date will be 1st of January 2026. So the memory technique will be Happy New Year for you guys. Okay, it will be applicable from the 1st of January 2026. So any kind of new CLA entered after January 2026 will have to follow this guideline, and the old CLAs that are already in place can definitely continue the earlier guidelines as of now. Okay, so please remember the date as well of this particular circular. Next, the applicability part is quite interesting of this particular circular. It is applicable to commercial banks. However, it is not at all applicable to the small finance bank, local area banks, and RRBs. Sorry. So can I say that commercial bank minus small finance bank minus LAB minus RRB? Just doing this for the better understanding so that it goes into your permanent memory. Commercial banks minus small finance bank minus local area bank and minus regional rural bank, right? All the 5 all India financial institutions have to comply with this direction. All the NBFCs including HFCs, so NBFC plus HFC, right? Housing finance companies also have to follow this particular circular, right? But it is not at all applicable to the multiple banking, consortium banking and syndication banking. I'll be definitely telling you what is the basic difference in the multiple banking, consortium banking and syndication banking, and how they are different from the co-lending that we are going to read in today's session. It is also not applicable to the digital lending, but if you are doing co-lending in the digital lending space, in the digital lending, if you are doing co-lending, if co-lending is involved, then that will be applicable. This particular direction will apply in case if you are doing co-lending in the digital lending framework, right? Now let's talk about the multiple banking. Let's suppose I'm having accounts in different banks. Say for example, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, SBI Bank. So can I say that this is nothing but multiple banking? I'm doing banking with multiple banks. I'm taking loans, I'm depositing my money in the form of saving deposit, in the form of RD, in the form of fixed deposit and so on. I'm also taking loans. So this is nothing but multiple banking. I am having multiple accounts, I can say. I'm taking services of the multiple banks. If I talk about the consortium lending and syndication, now multiple students are having confusion regarding what consortium lending or what syndication lending is all about. Look, in consortium lending and syndicate lending, there's a major difference. There is a major difference. The major difference lies in the level of involvement and management. Level of involvement and management. So in consortium lending, basically lenders are jointly managing the loan, right? Let's suppose HDFC, SBI, ICICI, and say for example UCO Bank. They have formed a consortium here. Now they are actively managing they are jointly managing the loan. They have given a loan to the borrower. Now they are actively and jointly managing the loan. That's what consortium banking is all about, right? That's what consortium lending is all about. Whereas in syndication, we always appoint a lead banker, right? This is a consortium case. Why? Because they are jointly doing the management stuff. However, if these banks, let's suppose if these banks are appointing a lead banker, say for example, here in this case ICICI Bank, they are appointing ICICI Bank as a lead banker. Now this ICICI Bank will have to manage the entire loan process. Basically, all the banks don't have time, so they have appointed ki ICICI Bank will manage the entire loan processing and stuff like that, right? The management part of this will be managed by the ICICI Bank. We appoint ICICI Bank as the lead banker. In that case, this is a case of syndication banking. In this case, it is a case of syndication banking where a lead banker gets appointed and it manages the entire loan process, right? However, you don't have to go into too much detail, although I have given each and everything in this particular PDF, but still I will advise you guys to please stick to this particular circular related to co-lending. Sir, how co-lending is different from this arrangement of syndicate of consortium lending? Because in co-lending also, we are two organizations are giving loan to some borrower, and in this particular arrangement also multiple borrowers are giving loan to that, multiple lenders are giving loan to a borrower. In co-lending, only two borrowers are involved. In consortium and syndication banking, multiple lenders can be involved. However, in co-lending, only two lenders are involved, right? That's what the major difference is. That's why I told you co means two, right? Okay. So I've given you the details of syndication and consortium. You can just have a quick reading if you want to. Otherwise, it's fine. Even if you know this much stuff that I just taught you, it will be even fine, right? Now these two, let's come back to the co-lending arrangement as of now, right? So CLA stands for nothing but co-lending arrangement. So what these two parties need to do, both HDFC Bank and the NBFC, because they are entering into an agreement. So let's have a ex-ante agreement. We call it as ex-ante agreement, right? What do you mean by ex-ante agreement? It's nothing but an agreement between both the parties, just even before entering into a contract, or even before, I can say, lending to some borrower. They haven't entered into any kind of lending process as of now. Still they need to do a advance agreement. I can say this as a advance agreement, right? So if we look at the dictionary meaning of this particular term, then before the event. So what is the event actually? When both the companies, when both the financial institutions will be disbursing the loan, will be giving the loan. That's what the event is all about. But even before the event, they need to do an agreement. I can say that they need to sign a pre-agreement regarding all the terms and conditions, like how much they will be sharing, what will be the profit share, what will be the loss share. Every terms and condition should be there in the ex-ante agreement. That's why we call it as a formal pre-signed contract between both the parties, so that there is no space for any kind of dispute at the end of the day, right? So let's suppose this particular bank and NBFC are entering into an agreement. They will clearly write each and everything, that how much share they will be contributing, right? Who will bring the source customer, who will be handling the documentation, what will be the proportion of loss, what will be the proportion of profit, how they will be sharing it, and any other kind of clarity they want, they can do this in the ex-ante agreement, right? Ex-ante agreement. Now this ex-ante agreement is between the originating RE and the partner RE. So what do you mean by originating RE? Look, let's suppose the customer is actually coming via this NBFC. No doubt we are in co-lending arrangement. We will be sharing the loan, but the customer is coming via the NBFC. So can I say that this is a originating RE? This is the originating RE. This manages the source and processes of loan application, right? The source of application, the source of customer is this originating RE is what I can say. And the HDFC bank here will be the partner RE, right? HDFC bank here will be the partner RE. So it co-lends based on the agreed proportion. Let's suppose HDFC bank is giving 60% of the loan and NBFC is giving the 40% of the loan. The loan amount is, let's suppose, 1 crore. So 60 lakh rupees HDFC bank is giving and 40 lakh rupee NBFC is giving, but the customer is sourced by NBFC. So we can say that the originating RE will be NBFC here, right? And definitely the loan can be both secured as well as unsecured, no matter what, no problem at all, right? The risk and revenue will be shared by the each regulated entity based on the ex-ante agreement. However, you can decide the terms and conditions, but there should be a minimum share retention. There should be a minimum share retention. What if this NBFC is just contributing 1% in the deal and HDFC bank is giving 99% of the loan? That's not fair, right? That's not fair and that's not permitted. There should be a minimum share retention. What is the minimum share retention? Every RE, each RE must bring at least 10% of the loan in its book. So let's suppose the loan is of 1 crore. So out of 1 crore, 10%, at least 10% each RE needs to bring, right? So it's not like that the NBFC can contribute just 1% of the loan amount. No, it has to contribute at least 10 lakh rupees in this particular deal. At least 10 lakh rupee, rest of the 90 lakh HDFC bank can contribute, right? Or it can be vice versa as well. HDFC bank can contribute 10% and NBFC is going for 90% of the share, but there should be skin in the game. What do you mean by skin in the game? When there is money involved, there is already an interest, right? When there is money involved, apne aap interest aa jata hai, right? So that's why to maintain the skin in the game, the RBI has prescribed the bare minimum as at least 10%. Now this can be very, very important for your examination. Please do remember this particular limit here, right? Now credit policy must clearly state internal limits for the CLA exposure, target borrower segments, partner due diligence, and any kind of, let's suppose, queries are coming or complaints are coming, who will be definitely resolving those complaints, because there are two entities. So whenever there are two entities, more than one entities, chances of conflicts are there. So we don't want any kind of conflict. We don't want any kind of mishappening here, right? Contractual mishappening. So that's why everything should be clearly stated in the credit policy here. Then agreement with the partner RE must cover each and everything like borrower selection criteria, whom will be giving the loan, to Vijay Mallya, to Mr. Adani, to Mehul Choksi, right? So borrower selection criteria should be very, very clear. What are the product lines and areas, fees for lending services, what is the fees that we are charging for the lending services, what are the responsibilities, who will be sharing what responsibility, who will be doing the documentation, right? Information sharing timelines. Let's suppose if NBFC bank, if that NBFC came to know something about the borrower, then at what timeline they need to communicate it to the HDFC bank. That should also be clearly stated in the agreement. Customer interface rules and each and everything about the agreement, each and everything about the business should be the part of the agreement here for best understanding, right? Borrower's loan agreement. Again, borrower's loan agreement shall clearly disclose the fact of each RE role, right? We are doing an agreement with Mr. Adani, say for example, right? Both the entities have entered into an agreement, that's an ex-ante agreement, but we need to do an agreement with Mr. Adani as well, because we both are giving him the loan. So it should be clearly stated in the contract what is the roles and responsibility of each regulated entity. If there is some complaint, then you can go ahead and complain with the HDFC bank or the NBFC for better understanding, so that there is no confusion later on, right? you need to also clearly state a single point of contact for the customer, right? So that Mr. Adani confused nahi ho rahe ki whether I need to contact HDFC Bank or NBFC in case of any query. State the grievance redressal process again. In case of any complaint, you need to clearly state who will be dealing with that particular complaint, right? Now let's suppose the loan classified as priority sector lending, okay? So you have given a loan in the PSL area. So in that case, you can definitely claim the share in the PSL status. So HDFC Bank is given, let's suppose 60% of the loan. So HDFC Bank can claim 60% in the PSL and rest will be claimed by the NBFC for the same purpose. And if I talk about any kind of unrealized profit, the NBFC in the accounting needs to deduct from the CET1 capital, right? The NBFC needs to deduct from the CET1 capital or the net own funds until the loan maturity. So unrealized profits cannot be recognized as of now. They need to be deducted from the CET1 capital or net own funds here. Blended interest rate, it's a new concept for you guys because there are two entities. Let's suppose HDFC Bank is sharing 60% of the loan and the NBFC is sharing 40% of the loan. Say for example, the rate of interest charged by the NBFC usually is 12% and the rate of interest charged by the HDFC Bank is, let's suppose, 10%. Now what rate will be charging to the borrower? What rate will be charging to the borrower? Obviously it will be blended interest rate. It will be the weighted average rate, right? It's the same weighted average that we study in quant. 10% ka 60% and 12% ka 40%. So here we will be getting 10.8% as the blended interest rate here, right? All the charges must be included in the annual percentage rate and should be clearly disclosed in the key fact statement here, right? So disclosure requirements are also there. You should be clearly communicating each and everything, disclosing each and everything here. Next, the partner RE must irrevocably commit to take its share of loan on the back-to-back basis. So the partner RE needs to clearly sign a irrevocable commitment that he will be participating in the loan process throughout the agreement. Okay, so it should not like that ki partner RE is just revoking the consent again and again, right? It should be a irrevocable commitment. And transfer of share must happen within 15 days of the disbursement. Let's suppose one party has already disbursed the share to one party has disbursed the loan to the borrower. Then in that case, the transfer of share must clearly happen within 15 days of the disbursement here, right? So the CLAs shall ensure that respective share of the RE are reflected in the books. All the regulated entities involved in this transaction need to record that particular loan transaction within 15 days. Within 15 days, again, important timeline for you guys, right? Then a separate borrower account is required. The RE shall keep a separate borrower account. All the transactions should be done in escrow account. Why we need an escrow account? Because there are two parties. One is HDFC Bank. Second one is the NBFC. Right? There is one borrower. There is one borrower. So one thing we can do is we can make transaction in one of the parties' account, maybe HDFC Bank or maybe NBFC, and then there can be an internal sharing. However, internal sharing here is not permitted. It's clearly written that you need to route each and every transaction with a escrow account, right? So whatever payments borrower is making as principal and interest needs to be first deposited in the escrow account, and then the respective share can be shared by the regulated entities. Even if they are disbursing loan, it should be via escrow account so as to avoid any kind of disputes, right? So for those who don't know what escrow account is what escrow account is all about, it's nothing but a special account where we are temporarily depositing or withdrawing the money. Why? Because we just want to segregate the transaction and we don't want to take a particular risk like all the money will go to the NBFC then will be shared by HDFC Bank. No. First the money will come to a escrow account, so it's a third party account for you guys as of now, right? When two or more parties are transacting, they usually use escrow account for better transparency in the agreement, right? Operational arrangement, so separate account, escrow account and CLA loan must be part of internal and statutory audit. So obviously if your internal auditor and statutory auditor are undergoing an audit, are doing an audit, then in that case they will be verifying the CLA co-lending arrangement loans as well in the audit. That's obvious, right? Business continuity plan is also required in case of CLA termination. Let's suppose HDFC Bank and NBFC, they are terminating the agreement of the CLA co-lending arrangement. Now in that case both the entities need to have a business continuity plan, because maybe the NBFC is completely dependent on the co-lending arrangement itself. Now HDFC Bank has terminated that. So in that case the NBFC needs to have a business continuity plan, how he will be continuing the business operation. Is it a going concern as of now, right? So that's the bare minimum thing that we need to have. KYC, the partner RE can rely on the originating regulated entity process, because the customer, the customer is originating from the NBFC, right? The customer is originating from the NBFC, so obviously the NBFC must have done the KYC requirement. In that case, the partner RE can rely on the originating RE KYC process is what's stated here, and this is important, right? Reporting to the credit information company, we all know that the lenders, the regulated entities need to report on a regular basis to the CICs, credit information companies. So both the REs will report their own share to the CIC. It's not like that only one RE will be reporting the entire share of both the companies. No, both the RE do have the obligation to report their own share to the CIC. One more thing you need to remember in this is default loss guarantee. Originating RE, who is the originating RE in our case? NBFC, right? NBFC is the originating RE. Now NBFC can provide up to 5% of the loan outstanding as DLG. Now sir, what is DLG? Default loss guarantee. Let's suppose the loan amount is 100 crore. So 5% of DLG will be provided by the originating RE. That means 5 crore. In case of any default, the originating RE will be making it good up to the amount of 5 crore, right? The originating RE will be bearing that particular loss. So here the originating RE is given a kind of guarantee to the partner RE that in case of any loss, I will be guaranteeing the 5%, up to 5% of the share, right? So please do remember this percentage as well. It is up to 5%. This can be also important for the examination purpose. One more thing you need to please remember is asset classification. Let's suppose HDFC Bank has classified this borrower NPA or SMA, right? Then in that case, the corresponding, the counterparty, right? The another regulated entity, let's suppose HDFC Bank has classified Mr. Adani as NPA. In that case, the NBFC will also be required to classify the account as NPA. It's not like that one regulated entity is doing some other classification and another regulated entity is doing some other classification. That should not ideally happen, right? All the classification norms are same for both the entities here only, right? And then there are some disclosure norms that you can just have a quick reading, not so important. All the important things I have already told you. Next one is the statement on developmental and regulatory policies. Statement on developmental and regulated policies. So on 6th of August, it was published on the RBI website. There are two things in this particular news: regulation and financial market. Regulation and financial market. First, we'll be discussing about the financial market. So we all know about the RBI Retail Direct, right? RBI Retail Direct is a portal through which retailers can also buy the government securities. They can buy the securities in the primary auction, plus they can buy and sell in that, we all know. But there is a new feature here. What is the new feature? There is a auto bidding facility for the treasury bills. If you want to bid for the treasury bill, you can use the auto bidding facility now on the RBI Retail Direct platform. So that will help you bidding automatically based on few criteria that you will be punching in, right? So in case any treasury bill auction is on the way, so you can set the limits for the auto bidding facility and directly the order will be punched and the order will be executed based on the limits that you are setting. So that's auto bidding facility, which is now there in the RBI direct platform, that too for the treasury bill purpose. Please do remember, it can be important for the examination. Next regulation related is a general thing. They are standardizing the procedure for the settlement of claim in respect of deposit accounts of the deceased customer. Let's suppose a customer is no more, right? So he's a deceased customer. In that case, the settlement should be very, very quick. So the nominees and the legal heirs should be getting the money at the earliest, I can say. So they are again drafting a circular regarding this, right? Regarding the procedures and standardized documents, because every bank as of now is having different documents in this particular case, in case of deceased customer. So for that, bank is making a standardized framework here, right, that you need to follow, and that will be hassle free. The next one is RBI eases the norms for special rupee account to accelerate the global rupee trade. So this was released on 5th of August 2025 on the RBI website related to the international trade settlement in the INR. So what they have now did is, what they have changed is, the Reserve Bank of India has eliminated the requirement for prior approval when authorized dealer banks are opening special rupee Vostro account. Okay, so earlier, if an authorized dealer bank is opening a special rupee Vostro account, we'll be definitely discussing about what special rupee Vostro account is, what authorized dealers are, right? So थोड़ा सा टाइम देना, उससे पहले आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि if authorized dealers earlier, if they are opening a account, not a normal account but special rupee Vostro account, that too for the overseas correspondent bank, in that case they were required to take the RBI's approval, but now RBI has eliminated the requirement for the prior approval. Okay, that's a major change. That's a major change. For those who don't know what special rupee Vostro account is all about, it's nothing but where a domestic bank, let's suppose HDFC Bank, so it's a domestic bank in India, is holding rupee denominated deposits on behalf of a foreign bank. Let's suppose any bank situated in the US, say for example, a bank is situated in the United States. So this is a foreign bank. Now this bank is having deposits, not normal deposits, but rupee denominated deposit. In this Indian bank, right? So this Indian bank is nothing but they are holding rupee denominated deposits on behalf of the foreign bank for facilitating the transaction. So here rupee account belongs to the foreign bank but is maintained in India. So कुछ नहीं हो रहा, देखो यूएस का बैंक क्या कर रहा है, इंडिया में पैसा होल्ड कर रहा है, that too in the rupee denominated deposit. Okay, here we have given you example as well. Later on you can read this particular example. It's a related example only जो अभी हमने डिस्कस किया, right? So ये हो गया आपका rupee Vostro और special rupee Vostro account. If I talk about the authorized dealer, then banks authorized by the RBI, some of the banks are authorized by the RBI to conduct the foreign exchange business. They can indulge into the cross-border remittances, currency issues and trade settlements. These are called as AD banks or authorized dealer, right? So here we can see in the notification as well, attention of authorized dealer category 1 banks is invited via this particular circular. On review, it has been decided to allow the AD banks to open a special rupee Vostro account of the overseas correspondent banks without referring to any RBI. These banks can directly give the approval for opening the special rupee Vostro account and they don't need a further approval from the Reserve Bank of India. So this will definitely lead to the international trade settlement in Indian rupee. It will definitely give a boost to this international trade. So here we don't need to wait for more and more approvals as of now. Okay. Why this will cause internationalization of rupee? This is a strategy to make the Indian rupee a global accepted currency for trade, investment and reserve. So here, because of this move, we are aiming to make the Indian rupee a global accepted currency for trading, right? So progress so far, SRVA is introduced in July 2022. So SRVA July 2022 के अंदर introduce हुआ था to invoice and settle the exports in the rupee, right? और अभी यहाँ पे क्या कर दिया, कोई भी अप्रूवल की नीड नहीं पड़ेगी. So AD category banks don't need approval. So this can initiate the SRVAs directly, speeding up the operational efficiency. इससे क्या होने वाला है, speed up हो जाने वाला है पूरा का पूरा काम. जो चीज़ें करने में टाइम लगता था, we need to wait for the approval. Now we don't need to wait for any approval and we can directly go ahead, right, and open the SRVA account. However, AD banks must follow the FEMA and KYC rules. So this is not at all a relaxation from the FEMA and KYC rules. You need to follow all the rules and regulation, not just one, two. You need to follow all the rules and regulation. However, you don't have to seek for approvals again and again from RBI. Okay. So this is just done to boost the regulatory process. I can say the time wasted in the regulatory process is now sorted. अगर broader context की बात करें and related updates, so there are two notifications on the RBI website related to this particular news. Okay, first one we have already discussed about the no more requirement of authorization from RBI, and the second one we are going to discuss. So investing in rupee surplus in government securities. Again, the second notification was posted on 12th of August recently. Foreign entities via SRVAs may invest their surplus rupee balances into Indian government security. Let's suppose a foreign bank based out of USA is having certain deposits in HDFC Bank of India in the form of SRVAs. So they are holding INR in the SRVA account. Now this particular entity can invest in the government securities market as well, G6 market also of India, without being restricted as foreign portfolio investor. So they don't have to be registered as the FPI as of now. They can directly invest in the government security market via SRVA. This is another notification that came on the RBI website. Okay, that was there on the RBI website अगर आपने देखा हो तो अभी तक. So here is this particular circular. We can see investment in government securities by person resident outside India. If you are a person resident outside India and you are having a special rupee Vostro account, you can definitely and directly invest in government securities, right? So person resident outside India that maintains a special rupee Vostro account, that too for international trade settlement in Indian rupee, may invest their rupee surplus. If you are having any rupee surplus balance in the aforesaid account, then you can invest in the central government securities and including the treasury bills. You can invest in central government securities including treasury bills. Now why this matters? Because this streamlines the process of settling cross-border trade in Indian rupees. Now we can easily settle the trades, whether they are cross-border trades as well, that too in INR, right? That too in INR, that's important. Now reducing reliance on the US dollar. There is no more reliance on the US dollar in terms of international trades now, right? And this is promoting the internationalization of rupee. Government of India ने बहुत सारे ये वाले steps लिए थे. UPI Pay Now is also one of the initiative, right? By abolishing the approval bottleneck of the RBI to enable the quick deployment of the rupee based settlement channel. Next one, let's quickly discuss about the RBI monetary policy update, right? So we all know that in August first week, RBI monetary policy meeting was there. So this was 56th MPC meeting, right? The repo rate was maintained at 5.5%. The SDF is now at 5.25%. MSF is at 5.75%. Bank rate is at 5.75%, right? And we have already achieved the target inflation very well within the band, and the policy stance remains neutral here, right? So they have not changed any repo rate this time. It's stable. Okay. And some of the major highlights of reports were the global environment continues to be challenging because of the trade negotiations, right? And the pace of disinflation is now slowing down. And what is disinflation, inflation and deflation, we have discussed multiple times. So I think that you guys are now knowing it, what are the types of inflation basically, right? So again, private consumption aided by the rural demand and the fixed investment supported by the strong government capex continue to boost the economic activity. So the strong government capex is boosting the economic activity plus the private consumption. The service sector and the construction activity remains robust. So you need to remember that service sector and construction activity was on a strong data. We have discussed this in finance current affairs session as well, that the construction activity and service sector activity was increasing. However, the industrial sector was pulled down by the electricity and mining. So there is a decline in the electricity and mining activity here that pulled down the entire industrial sector growth. The GDP growth rate for 2026 financial year has been retained at 6.5%. Right, this is financial year 2026 and they have given the quarterly estimates as well. Again, they have discussed about the current CPI inflation. It's already at a 9 consecutive month low and it's very well within the inflation targeting approach. Core inflation is also stable. As of now, I don't think RBI is having any kind of stress related to inflation. It's very well within the range, right? And for 2026, they have projected the inflation rate of 3.1% in the monetary policy committee meeting, right? So basically these are the thing, nothing major, no major changes is what I can say, right? The policy stance is now neutral and no changes in the repo rate as of now. Now let's discuss about the introduction and continuous clearing and settlement on the realization in the check truncation system. So recently there was a change in the check truncation system. Let's discuss about this one as well. Earlier we were following batch processing system in the CTS. What is CTS? Check truncation system. I'll be explaining each and everything to you guys. What is check truncation system, what drawee is, what payee is, okay? Just to give a quick background, earlier for CTS, we were following the batch processing system. For check truncation system, we were processing the checks in batches, different batches at specific sessions, in the morning session, in the evening session. However, this was causing a delay. So RBI here has decided to move to a continuous clearing system instead of a batch processing system, right? Let's first understand what are the terminologies, what CTS is all about, and then I'll be explaining you this particular news, okay? Let's suppose Mr. A is having a bank account in SBI Bank. I am also having a bank account in HDFC Bank. Now Mr. A wants to pay me 1 lakh for XYZ purpose, okay? किसी भी purpose के लिए Mr. A is going to pay me 1 lakh rupees, say for example. So he's making a check here, right? Check is of 1 crore rupee, okay? So here the drawer of this check is Mr. A. Who is Mr. A? He is the drawer of check, or I can say that the person who writes or sign the check. So Mr. A is the drawer of the check, right? Who is the drawee? Who will be the drawee? Obviously Mr. A has drawn this check on the SBI Bank. So the bank on which the check is drawn, that is the drawer's bank. Mr. A's bank is nothing but a drawee bank. यार बना कौन रहा है? मिस्टर ए बना रहे हैं तो वो ड्रॉअर हो गए. अच्छा, इसको चेक किसके ऊपर बनाया गया है? जिसके ऊपर बनाया गया है एसबीआई बैंक के ऊपर बनाया हुआ है, एसबीआई बैंक के पेपर के ऊपर बनाया हुआ है. सो दिस इज द चेक फॉर एसबीआई बैंक. सो एसबीआई बैंक हियर विल बी द ड्रॉई. किसको पैसा मिलने वाला है? मुझे पैसा मिलने वाला है. सो आई विल बी द पेई, द पर्सन इन हुज फेवर द चेक इज रिटन, ही इज द पेई. ठीक है. सो मिस्टर ए ने चेक बनाया. मिस्टर ए हैज क्रिएटेड दिस चेक, मेड दिस चेक in favor of Prateek, right? Can I say that Prateek is the payee? Mr. A is the drawer. Who is the drawee? State Bank of India is the, SBI Bank is the drawee. मान लो चेक का अमाउंट 1 करोड़ है, ठीक है। तो ड्रॉअर कौन होगा यहाँ पे? मिस्टर ए इज द ड्रॉअर, ड्रॉई इज SBI बैंक एंड पेई इज Prateek, right? Now what do you mean by check truncation system? It's nothing but a process to verify the genuineness of the check. So Mr. I received this check. Now I will be depositing this check in my bank, HDFC. Please credit 1 crore rupee in my account. Here is the check from Mr. A, right? That's the process. Now HDFC Bank will make a confirmation. HDFC Bank will give this check to a clearing house. Let's suppose clearing house, ठीक है। HDFC Bank क्या करेंगे? clearing house को ये चेक दे देंगे। उनके पास तो हजारों चेक आते हैं दिन के, लाखों चेक आते हैं। So HDFC Bank will be giving this check to the clearing house and the clearing house will be again verifying the genuineness of this check with SBI Bank, right? So what happens earlier in the check truncation system, this was a physical process. That means HDFC Bank will be physically giving the check to the clearing house and then the clearing house will be giving the check to the drawee who is the SBI Bank. Drawee is SBI Bank here, right? Just to verify the check. So can I say that this physical moment was causing a delay of 1 to 3 days, right? Anywhere around 1 to 3 days. Depending on whether the check is outstation or not. So that's causing a delay. So to improve the process, what RBI did is earlier they allowed sending a digital image of the check. You don't have to physically get that check to the SBI Bank, but you can just forward the image to the clearing house and then the clearing house will be forwarding the image to the respective bank, which is SBI Bank in the particular case, right? So that's how CTS is simplified earlier. Now there are some more changes in this process. Still there is a delay and RBI wants to make it real time or near to real time. या तो real time कर दो, ऐसे चेक प्रोसेस होना चाहिए, नहीं तो कोई बात नहीं, नियर टू रियल टाइम कर दो, कुछ घंटों में ही चेक प्रोसेस हो जाना चाहिए. So the first step that they are taking in the new system, what is the first step? Single presentation session. There should be one single presentation session. Who is the presenting bank? Obviously the HDFC Bank is the presenting bank. Why? Because HDFC Bank is presenting the check on behalf of the payee to the drawee via a clearing house. Sir, clearing house की क्या जरूरत है? ऐसे ही हो जाता पर HDFC बैंक बैठ के रोज देखता रहेगा कि अच्छा इतने चेक ICICI बैंक के, इतने SBI बैंक के, इतने अलग अलग बैंक्स के. HDFC बैंक अपना काम छोड़ के ये सब थोड़ी काम करेगा, राइट? सो दैट्स अ tedious process and let's give to the person who is having a specialization. Let's give this work to the entity who is having a specialization. So HDFC Bank will be giving to the clearing house and the clearing house will be doing the same thing, will be transferring the check to the respective drawee banks on behalf of the HDFC Bank. सिंगल प्रेजेंटेशन सिस्टम. अगर HDFC बैंक के अंदर चेक जमा करवा रहे हो 10 बजे से लेके 4 बजे तक, from 10 AM to 4 PM you can present your check, no problem at all. The bank must scan and send the check immediately after receiving them. So now as soon as the bank receives the check, let's immediately scan the check and send it to the clearing house. So the clearing house again will send the image to the drawee bank continuously and not in batches. Earlier this work used to happen in batches, but now it will be continuous the entire day, right? For example, a check deposited at 10:30 AM is scanned and its image is sent immediately to the clearing house and then the clearing house will be sending the image immediately to the drawee bank on a continuous basis and not on inward processing. So what happened is HDFC बैंक के पास चेक आया, उन्होंने फटाफट से क्लियरिंग हाउस को दे दिया, क्लियरिंग हाउस के पास आया, उन्होंने फटाफट से SBI बैंक को दे दिया. Now this drawee bank, this is the drawee bank, इनका कंफर्मेशन सेशन, अरे कंफर्म करेंगे ना, this bank will be confirming whether this check is genuine or not. So what is the confirmation session? 10 AM to 7 PM. 10 AM to 7 PM. देखो सर वो 4 PM था, यहाँ 7 PM क्यों हो गया? HDFC बैंक के लिए तो प्रेजेंटेशन टाइम was 10 to 4. Why this is 10 to 7? अरे यार चेक तो पब्लिक आके देगी ना, तो पब्लिक डीलिंग डिपार्टमेंट तो 4 बजे बंद हो जाता है, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाई टाइम वहां पे 10 to 4 है और यहाँ पे 10 to 7 है. ओके, आई होप इट्स क्लियर टिल नाउ. Now, RBI Bank's confirmation session is 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Each check must be responded. Ab SBI Bank either will be giving a positive confirmation or a negative confirmation. Positive confirmation means everything is fine, just honor this check. But if there is a negative confirmation, maybe because of n number of reasons, like sign is not matching, maybe Mr. A is not having adequate balance in the saving account or maybe the current account, n number of reasons. Maybe there is some overwriting on the check. So in this case, SBI Bank can give a negative confirmation, that means dishonoring the check, right? Every check carries a item expiry time. Now every check will be having a item expiry time. What is item expiry time? It's nothing but a deadline. It's nothing but a deadline by which the RBI Bank must confirm, either give a negative confirmation, either give a positive confirmation. Sir, but what about no confirmation? What happens if there is no confirmation? Because this is SBI Bank. ठीक है, सो कहीं SBI Bank ने बोल दिया कि अभी लंच चल रहा है और लंच चले ही जा रहा है, तो उस केस में क्या होगा? What will happen? Whether the lunch will continue to go on? No. If the bank is not responding within a reasonable period of time, the check will be deemed to be approved. The check will be deemed to be approved. Right? That's the twist in the story. If SBI Bank is not responding timely, we will deem that you have approved it. Okay. Example, if the RBI Bank forgets to respond, the system assumes that the check is honored. So that's the beautiful part of the story. The whole idea is to cut short the time lag which is causing the real issue. Time allowed for confirmation. So there are 2026. The timeline here is 7 p.m. for all the checks. The item expiry is also 7 p.m. So if you have given a check and SBI Bank has received that check, the RBI Bank, this bank needs to confirm whether reject or whether to accept by 7 p.m. अगर 7 p.m. तक नहीं कर रहे हो तो it will be deemed to be accepted. Okay. Phase 2, and from January 2026 onwards, the timeline will be transaction plus 3 hours. So let's suppose if somebody has given check between 10 to 11 a.m. okay, let's suppose 11 a.m. So 3 hours after 11 a.m. transaction time plus 3 hours. So 1, 2. So 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 3 hours. So 2 p.m. by 2 p.m. you need to either reject it or you need to accept this check. If you are not doing anything, it will be deemed to be accepted. That's the provision, right? That's the provision. So there are 2 phases in phase 1. From 1st of October to 2nd of January 2026, it will be 7 p.m. You need to give acceptance or rejection to the checks if you are a RBI Bank by 7 p.m. However, in the phase 2, the deadline is quite strict, so as to make this process faster, right? The transaction time plus 3 hours. जब भी आपको चेक मिल रहा है वहां से 3 घंटे के अंदर you need to pass it, right? Settlement on the realization. So the settlement will happen on positive confirmation or deemed approval. If there is positive confirmation, yes, settlement will happen. If there is no reply, then there will be deemed approval. Settlement will happen, right? Negative confirmations are excluded here, right? Negative confirmation के केस में obviously the check will dishonor, settlement नहीं होगा. Hourly settlement from 11 a.m. onwards till 7 p.m. Let's suppose the time is 12 noon, right? All the confirmed checks till 11:59 a.m. are settled on 12 a.m. So every hourly basis settlement will happen, right? क्या होगा? Settlement क्या होगा? हर hourly basis पे होगा. Confirmation तो आप 7 बजे तक दे सकते हो अभी. Second phase में आप कब तक confirmation दे सकते हो? आप 3 hours के अंदर अंदर आपको confirmation देनी पड़ेगी, पर settlement hourly basis पे होगा. Confirmation के बाद let's suppose 11:30 पे कंफर्मेशन आ जाता है बैंक का कि कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, राइट? तो 12 PM पे इसका सेटलमेंट हो जाएगा, 12 नून पे इसका सेटलमेंट हो जाएगा, राइट? नेक्स्ट आर में नो अकाउंटिंग एंट्रीज शैल बी पास फॉर द चेक्स विथ नेगेटिव कंफर्मेशन. नो नीड टू पास द जर्नल एंट्रीज बिकॉज ऑलरेडी इट्स अ नेगेटिव कंफर्मेशन, सो नो सेटलमेंट इज देयर, राइट? पेमेंट टू कस्टमर, अगेन द क्लियरिंग हाउस sends settlement results to presenting bank, and the presenting bank must credit customer account immediately but not later than 1 hour after the settlement. Let's suppose SBI Bank has settled the transaction, so within 1 hour, HDFC Bank, the presenting bank, HDFC Bank here is the presenting bank, needs to credit the amount immediately in my account, right, in Prateek's account. So that's what the process is why we are doing this. What will be the implications? Obviously, faster credit of check will happen for customers, for bank. Higher operational responsibility will be there. Real-time inward processing is required. Strong IT system is required, and for economy it's good because we are enhancing the process, I can say, right? Payment efficiency will be high. This will be reducing the systemic risk and align with the digital push payment as of now. So these are the benefits. So guys, these were the RBI circulars. Now let's start the preparation of MCQ and quick revision. Before starting that, would like to tell you that we are giving a free RBI preparation kit for your exam preparation. This is completely free of cost. You will be getting regular channel. So let's start with the MCQs now. The very first MCQ is related to your co-lending arrangement. A mid-sized NBFC and a commercial bank entered into a co-lending arrangement to finance the working capital needs of the small manufacturing unit. As per this agreement, the NBFC is originating in RE, right? The NBFC is the originating RE and the bank is the partner RE. While reviewing the arrangement, the RBI inspection team observed that the bank had fully transferred its exposure in certain loans to the third party. So the bank has fully transferred. Is this permitted? No. Retaining nothing in its books. The NBFC retained the entire share as per the RBI co-lending arrangement. Direction 2025, which of the following is correct regarding the minimum share retention in this case? So we all know that the minimum share retention here should be at least 10%, right? So both the originating RE and the partner RE must individually retain at least 10% of the loan in their books of accounts, right? So as to have a skin in the game. Next one is two regulated entities entered into CLA to jointly fund the housing loans, with the originating RE disbursing the entire amount upfront. Due to operational delays, the partner RE took its share into its books after 21 days. Is it permitted? No, it is not at all permitted. You need to get that accounted for. The partner RE must record the share within 15 calendar days of the disbursement. That's the rule, right? So option A here will be the correct choice. You need to disburse that not in 21 days but within 15 days of the disbursement, right? So these MCQs I have also given you guys. I think at the time when I was individually covering each and every RBI circular. So some of you have also answered this as well. A borrower under the CLA defaulted on installments to the originating RE for more than 90 days. So that's an NPA, right? Leading to originating RE to classify the account as NPA. So originating RE has classified the account as non-performing asset as of now. However, the partner RE continued to show this particular asset as standard asset. So this is not at all permitted. What you need to do here is either RE classify, if the RE has classifying it as a SMA or NPA, then the same classification will be required to be made for the regulated entity as well, for the other regulated entity as well. So both needs to follow the same classification of the advances. So option C here will be the correct choice. Now let's have a discussion regarding the practice MCQ. These MCQs you guys have to practice, and do let me know in the comment section what should be the correct choice here, right? The very first one is co-lending arrangement, related to co-lending arrangement. So we have studied the entire co-lending arrangement to replace the earlier framework. So you guys need to tell from which date it is compulsory for all the regulated entities to follow this particular direction. From which date it is compulsory to follow the co-lending arrangement direction 2025. Let me know in the comment section. This is the homework question number first. Next one, to prevent the disputes and clearly lay down the responsibilities between the regulated entities in the co-lending arrangement, RBI is mandating a formal pre-signed agreement. We have discussed about the pre-signed agreement, right? So both the parties, both the regulated entities will be signing this agreement before sanctioning the loan, right? What is the agreement called as? What's the name of this agreement? Again, this is the homework question number 2. You need to tell me in the comment section. The third question for today is, in order originating RE2, extend the default loss guarantee. Can you guys tell me the amount, the maximum percentage that can be covered under the DLG in the co-lending direction 2025? This is the homework question number 3. Again, I'm giving just a straight simple question that can directly come in the examination. Okay, mostly in the examination they are asking you concept based or limit based questions. Next one, the retail scheme was launched in November 2021 to enable the retail investors to directly participate in the government securities market, that we all know. A new feature has been recently introduced, and that also we have discussed. What is the new feature here? What is the new feature here which is introduced in 2025 in the retailed direct scheme? This is the homework question number 4. So do let me know the correct choices in the comment section, right? Now coming to the revision part, what I have done is I have summarized each and everything, the most important pointers from your co-lending arrangement directions 2025 that we just discussed, right? So here I have summarized this in 2 pages. So I personally feel that you need this kind of stuff. Why? How you will be able to revise in the examination, right? It's very difficult to revise in the examination. That's why I am giving you these summary pointers as well. So this is in the 2 pages, I can say. The statement on development and regulatory policy is just 1 page summary. So please do download this PDF. RBI eases norms for special rupee Vostro account. Again, I am summarizing it in 1 page, just a 1 page. Then monetary policy committee key highlights, which came in August 2025, and the next one is continuous application system. So I have summarized each and everything for you guys for the revision purpose. You can definitely download this PDF and utilize these pointer summaries. All the important things are there. If I have missed something, you can add it also, right? So feel free to add it. That's why I'm giving empty spaces as well on this particular PDF. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this. Bye bye, take care, see you in some other video.